everyone. Welcome back. Going to be walking you through today how to create a visual mind map. Okay, to kind of get us prepared and organized for our visual storytelling maps that we're going to be working on for this unit. So here we are back at the Draw It slide of Nearpod. And we're going to use this as a way to kind of collect our ideas and thoughts, our mind map that we're going to create, to then plan for our eventual creation of our own mind maps, okay? So we're going to be using a lot of the toolbar, most of the toolbar that you see down here. The typing agent, the picture finder, the eraser, the drawing element, to create the mind map. So when creating a mind map, essentially what we're trying to do is organize our thoughts, as I've said, okay? And the first thing that we want to do is to organize and identify what is the subject of our map, okay? So the subject of my map, I'm going to use the typing agent for this just to type it in. And the focus of my map is going to be traveling back and forth to the Poconos every weekend to see my parents. So I'm just going to go ahead. Poconos, and that's in Pennsylvania, PA. And that's essentially going to be my focus, which is going to be at the center of my mind map. Okay, so I'm just going ahead, putting that in. So I have the Poconos. I'm also going to just use a drawing tool to identify that this is the mind map. Okay, so I'm going to be making my my map around the Poconos. So what are some things that I'm going to want to include? Now we're going to branch out from here and identify different things that we're going to want to mention in our map that we feel is super important, other materials that we might be able to use to gather to try to get ourselves organized. So what are things that I want to talk about in the Poconos? So one thing that I really love about the Poconos is being in nature or the forest. So I'm going to use the image search to look for a picture of a forest. And I'm seeing a lot of really beautiful things. I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to put fall in autumn. Favorite time of year, particularly in the Poconos. So we're just getting a lot of really beautiful pictures here for the fall. Really like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and save this one. It is loading. I'm going to squinch it down, and then I'm going to attach it with one of the extending lines coming out from the Poconos, and then go back to the drawing tool, okay? I'm also going to mention a few details around the forest, so I'll put definitely hiking. I like to go to antique stores, and then just hanging out with my parents, wife, and my father's dog, which you met last lesson, Finn. Okay, so I have here, so I got hiking. So this is part of what I'll be discussing in the map. Let's think. So we should also think about materials. So what kind of materials do we want to use? I'm going to use the typing agent again. I think I'm going to use a lot of standard tools like markers, definitely a pencil. I'm also going to look for recyclable paper materials. After a while, just working on regular standard white paper gets kind of boring. So I want to see if I can maybe find some non-art materials to use. Maybe some watercolor paint. Watercolor paint. All right, and then I'm just gonna go back to the top here and just put materials. Materials. Okay. Go ahead and drag that to another box. I don't know what, let's put another picture here just to have a visual reminder. Let's go ahead and put some art materials. All right, so we got a whole bunch of art materials here to look at. Kind of like this one. You can go ahead, I'm gonna squeeze this down so I know where my recyclables, or rather my materials, will go. Okie doke. All right, so we got the Poconos as the center. We have things I want to discuss in the map and show, the materials that I'm going to use. Let's see, what else should we have in our mind map? And as I'm kind of making this mind map, I'm also kind of thinking about other sorts of important things. Am I going to need any sort of printouts? Go back to the typing agent. I'm definitely gonna have to. I should definitely do some research too. Let's say research on the history of the Poconos. All right. So I'll look up some history around the Poconos. In particular, my parents' house is in Lake Ariel, so I'm going to look up some history about that as well. Do some research. Let's see. Also do some research. There's actually a huge lake up by there called Lake Wallenpaupack. So I'm also going to do some research around that. And go ahead, I'm going to kind of move this down. I'm going to look for another image. I'm going to look for an image of the lake, because the lake is very important to the communities up there. So let's see if I can find Lake Wallenpaupack. All right, and there we go. We got some pictures. I like this picture of a map. This actually might be super helpful in my map. So I'm just gonna, this is actually a little picture of a topographical picture of the map. That looks pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna just squinch that down and then just kind of drag it over. I think that'll be important to talk about. All right, so I have my materials. I have the things I want to highlight in the map. I have some research I'm going to do around the history of the Poconos, Lake Ariel, and then Lake Wallenpaupack. And then our last section here, let me see. So I have the lake. Oh, you know what? Something that's super important to me, and I'm kind of thinking as I'm reviewing my mind map here, something else that I think would be really important, a big part of going up to the Poconos to visit my family is cooking and eating and barbecuing. So that's something I didn't mention first in here, but I think it could be kind of like its own section. So I'm going to go ahead, go back to the tool typing agent. I'm going to put family dinner, cooking, and BBQing. All right, make that just a little bit bigger. Looks good. Drag it down. Let me go ahead and go back to that again. I'm just going to drag this down a little bit. Okay, looks good. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add in a picture of like a barbecue. All right, yeah, that looks pretty cool. This is actually, this looks like the barbecue I actually used at my parents'. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. Oh, a bunch of barbecue stuff there, as we can see. So just kind of pinching it down, and then I'm going to drag it over. as it will be now part of my mind map. Okay. All right, so we have a basic outline, kind of plan for our mind map. You could also, if you like, start to think about some of the imagery or things you'd like to draw in your mind map that will kind of further explain what you're talking about. So again, we're talking about the woods. I'm going to go ahead and put some little illustrations in here, some pine trees. Might be something I want to use later. All right. Really any sort of illustrations that you want to add in would be great. I'm going to experiment a little bit and try and draw my father's dog, Finn, which is kind of tricky, but let's see if we can make it happen. He's a small little guy, total pain in the butt, but I love him a lot, and he's super fun. He always gets like super excited when he sees me and my wife, and wants to lay on us, and he's got a little nubbin tail there. All right, there we go. I got the dog in there. Got some trees, other materials. All right, so again, really what we're trying to do is organize our thoughts around our the individual maps that you will create. Again, start with the thing that your map is going to be about. In my case, that should go in the center here, Poconos, Pennsylvania, PA. And then all of the different things that you think, one, you might need to create your map, such as your marker and materials. Specific things about the place or thing you're going to be discussing in your map. In my case, hiking, antique stores, hanging out with my parents, my wife, my father's dog, all the cooking and barbecuing that we do. And then I'm going to take an extra step here and think about some sort of research that will help inform my map to the specific place in which I'm talking about. Have these 4 items: materials, specifics around your place, other sorts of specifics, and then some sort of research, all with accompanying images, so that I could see what your plan is for your map. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, please reach out. Can't wait to see what you come up with, and I'll see you next time.